Hi everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com and I am back with another energetically channeled celebrity video. Now this particular video is completely unusual in the way that the frequency allows itself to tether to my frame of reference here when I'm trying to figure out what happened on a vibrational level. So coming from the astral level, every time I would grab onto a thought, that's the best way I could describe it. It's grab onto a thought in order to try to follow it to see what was being shown. That thought would morph into something different and take me in a 180 degree, completely different direction and then twist it back 40 degrees and throw it up front. So every single time I'm focusing on it, I'm being given multiple different scenarios that are colliding at one time. So it took me a while to kind of figure what that was, and I wrote a lot of notes, and I looked at the astrology chart for this young man who passed away on September 11th of 2025, and his name is Yu Men Long, and he was a 37-year-old very famous actor who died in Beijing after apparently drinking too much, consuming too much alcohol, and accidentally falling out a window. This is the public narrative that's been presented. So of course, I looked this young man's chart up and it's online. That's suspicious because a lot of times I have to dig and dig and dig, but this chart's on there. So his level of fame must be very, very, very big because they bothered to put his chart up here. And there's some American celebrities that we consider to be really huge celebrities that they don't have a chart for. So I started to look at his chart and I was immediately thrown from focusing on that to an image. So I'm going to tell you the first image that I got. The first image that I got when asking what happened to this young man, what happened? I saw immediately a big laundry bag with the string that you pull, like you drag it out of the car, but it closes with a string, you know, the cloth laundry bags when you're going to the laundromat, if you've had the misfortune of doing that. But if you're going to a laundromat and you've got this bag and you toss it over your shoulder, that's what I heard. They threw me away like a diaper in a laundry bag, okay? They threw me away like a diaper in a laundry bag. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? So I started to focus on that and I was immediately drawn in a completely different direction. So I'm going to start with that direction. See, I had no idea which way to start this video because there's a lot of different things that go into one making of this young man, okay, who was also known as Alan Yu, okay? So it's Yu Men Long, and then Alan Yu is another way that they present his name, at least publicly. This is what I've seen. So he was born on June 15th of 1988 in China at 12 p.m. I cannot pronounce the name of the city, so I'm not even going to try. And that makes him a Gemini sun, Cancer moon. That's a lovely combination. When I looked at his picture, he seemed very sweet and luminescent in appearance. And pristine. The look is pristine. It's a beautiful face, almost like a canvas you could paint on. I love the way the entertainers look in China. They look beautiful, like just like porcelain beautiful. It's a really lovely look in a lot of the things that I saw. He had that look of just untarnished. And when I look at him, I saw Virgo rising, and he has a Virgo rising. So that made sense to me because, again, Virgo rising is the one sign that comes in with a reserve that is very palpable, as in they're conscientious about what they do and what they won't do. And they look like Virgo risings. So they look very well put together. They look beautiful. They're impeccable in their appearance. So he is a sun, moon, Cancer with a Virgo rising. That's actually really well rounded. It gives the sun and the rising the intellect, and it gives the moon the emotional character with which to express the intellect or the perception of intellect. He had Venus in Gemini retrograde. That's an interesting aspect. He also had Mars in Pisces, okay, Jupiter in Taurus, Saturn retrograde, Uranus retrograde, and Neptune retrograde. Saturn and Uranus are in Sagittarius. Neptune is in Capricorn, and it's all placed in the 4th house. So it's kind of interesting because he had a tremendous amount of retrograde planets. He also had Pluto retrograde in Scorpio, and that's probably what was being activated at the time of his death. He also has his Mars in Pisces conjunct the North Node in Pisces. All of these things were activated by the eclipses that started in March of 2025 and finished in September of 2025. Okay, so they were all on degrees. We had I had to write it down because it went right out of my head. We had the last eclipse being at 29 degrees of Virgo. Now, what's so interesting is that activates his Saturn at 29, combust Uranus at 29, meaning on top of each other, 29 degrees of Sagittarius being activated by that eclipse. All right. So we have that eclipse. We have the Pisces eclipse and the prior Virgo eclipse. We had a series that literally bore down on his chart. Now that can go good or bad. I've seen eclipses take people out and push people up. But this was interesting. So I'm looking at it. I'm looking at his chart. Saturn is in the 4th house. Very difficult. Uranus in the 4th house. Very difficult. Neptune out of sign in the 4th house. Now, Neptune in the 4th house always brings about confusion about where one came from, the mother's ancestry, and who you are as a person. You have to use your intuitive abilities to figure out exactly what's going on in the home. Now, with Saturn there, the karma is deep. It's retrograde, the father's removed, period. The father's removed. Whether he is there physically, he could be something like a doctor who can't give emotional clarity, but the father is removed. It could be drug addiction. It could be literally the mother does not know who the father is. And any subsequent father figures will also be removed. They will be there and then removed. So the individual born with the Saturn, especially in Sagittarius, is trying to find out the purpose of life for himself. Now, his chart with his Gemini stellium, okay, so he's got Sun, Mercury, and Venus in Gemini. This is a very intelligent young man. His sun and moon all up at the top of his chart. This is public adoration, a connection to the public in the 9th house, in the 10th house. Here's the thing I got immediately. Skip all of that aside. I was immediately shown that this young man came through a funnel, okay, through a funnel, and was purposely elevated into a position in society. It is just wild, the shit that I got. Like, it just bombarded me. And I'm like, who are we talking about? This was a kid. This is basically a kid. He hadn't even hit 40 yet. So this young man was born to a woman who was impregnated purposely by a man in a higher position in society, government, period. Okay? So this woman, no matter who she thinks is the father of her son, the actual biological father of her son, so person that impregnated her, was some sort of connection to the government in China. Now, this could be against her knowledge, like somebody set her up, as in met her in a circumstance and dated her without telling her who they really were. And I actually think that that's part of what happened. I don't think she found out who his biological father was herself. And I'm talking background history, acknowledgement. I don't think she found that out until way after this kid was born. He was systematically placed into the uterus of his mother. However you want to word that. I don't know if this is like, we got too drunk one night and I had sex with a stranger, or I was dating this guy for 6 months and I got pregnant. Very common story, but it was set up purposely. Now, I don't believe she knew this at the time. I do believe that she herself, on an energy level, her appearance, the way that she viewed the world, and the belief system that she came into this world with. So she had been monitored prior to getting pregnant. So what seems like an accident and, oh my God, what do I do? Do I keep the baby? Do I give the baby up? Was positioned perfectly into society. That's the first thing. That's the very first thing. I don't know who her family is biologically or anything really about that, but I can tell you the actual biological father is not who everybody thinks it is. It's not who everybody thinks. And I do believe there were other father figures that were around this young man as he was being raised, which is wonderful, and how he was guided into the career that he was in. His mother was guided because she had aspirations in the same venue that this child would have, and giving her purpose frequency-wise would allow her to facilitate this child's dreams, thinking it was just this child's dreams, while people, monitoring spirits in human form, if you want to word it that way, kept an eye on this kid in order to step in during circumstances and introduce themselves and harness that energy. So I'm going all over the place. I'm going like this is a big astral chess game that I'm watching happen and play out. And the combination of these two people, their looks and the father figure is exactly, I'm pretty sure I'm talking about DNA though. So I don't know how that works on an astral level, what kind of DNA they're looking for and why they're looking for it, like what specifically to breed with are they looking for, but this is the direction that my thinking's going in, okay? It's really going in that direction. And I'll tell you another thing, as much as this has looked like or been spoken about as a ritual, I think his passing was unintentional, meaning it got out of hand. And I understand ritual, but his passing was not beneficial for them, and it actually triggers something else. So they're not going to get away with it, very interestingly. I don't know that in this life on this planet that anybody's actually going to pay the piper for what they've done. I don't actually believe that. And yeah. So when I'm looking at the chart, I'm noticing that all these retrograde planets are in his chart specifically to guide him to clear the pathway to release the soul from the binding that has happened in the past 5 lifetimes. This soul, his soul, has been tracked through lifetime after lifetime in order to bind it, savagely enslave it, and control it for the players that cannot, now I want you to hear this because this was so weird. The players in this world that cannot elevate to a different dimension once their body passes. They go to, and this is how I heard it. I've never heard this before. So these people that planned this birth and monitored this young man throughout his life, like they pop up out of nowhere. Could be a lady at the grocery store, and she is like positioned as your friend, but she's an information gatherer. Like it's weird. It's very weird that they do this, but they did this because, okay, the people that do this, when they retire on a physical level, when they leave their physical bodies, I heard the words, they go to a battery graveyard. So their battery is shut down and they need his energy. So they pull him back into this frequency, Earth, where they cannot get out of. Now they may be able to go up like 3 dimensions or down 3 dimensions or sideways because it's vast and it's like a vascular system. It goes all over the place and it just moves in and out so differently than what we're taught. They can go to certain levels, but they're not allowed to go above or beyond these particular levels. So this young man was housed in that train of thought after he passed out of the last life. They gave him 20/20 hindsight in this life. Now, obviously, when you're a kid and you're born, you just don't even think about shit like that, even if you are someone who is supposed to fight establishment or become a general or whatever it is in this life, right? And I use the word general because immediately when speaking about his father figure, now I'm going to say something ridiculous here, but just go with me. So the father that gave his sperm to this child's DNA, okay, Alan Yu as we're saying it, or Yu Men Long as it's pronounced in his language, This father was a double government agent. Now, that is weird in and of itself. Double government agent. I'm going to leave it at that till the end because I think his death is related to that and not perversion on a demonic level, which is how it's kind of coming through in my head. But it is, but it isn't. So there's a logistics to what went on, and he wasn't actually supposed to pass. Now, it ended up being like that because as the energy, you get 4 more people in a room and the energy accumulates, right? You get 4 more people in a room and the energy accumulates, it raises or it thickens. And as it thickens, the mindset continues to kind of move in on that energy frequency. Now, so the day that he went to the dinner party, I see him talking to a female and he's kind of laughing. And as I see that image, I go immediately to when he was exiled in the industry. Like, I don't know why. I'm on this train of thought and I'm immediately going over here to this train of thought. I go over here to when they kind of shunned him and tried to take him down reputation-wise, which is actually what they do. Just think of any celebrity in any country, you know, when there's a huge big scandal, going all the way back to the 1900s. Just look it up and see. So they tried to take him down. And it is said that when he came back from this 3-year time frame of teaching countryside at a kid's school, and I'm thinking to myself, wait, why are you doing that for? And then people came back and they described online saying he was so thin, he was so gaunt, he looked different, he had this whole other different feel to his energy. Like, he didn't look like he was eating a lot. All of those combination of things, right? Like, how was he eating? Why was he not healthy looking? He was a celebrity. How did he not have money, etc., etc.? Well, what was so interesting about that is I asked, why are you teaching at a school? Like, did you want to be a teacher? I'm just asking the energy. I don't really know where it's coming from because it jolts me from one way of thinking right over here to another way. So it's like you're walking down a road and suddenly a brick wall drops. I'm speaking energetically and I'm thrown down this path. So now I got to walk right, not straight, and not left and not backwards. So I'm asking, why are you teaching kids in a school? And okay, that's what they said he was doing. That's not what he was doing, okay? That's not what he was doing. What he was doing was being in that environment and being redirected to think or reprogrammed to think in a particular way. Almost like a mental hostage taking. I have to think this way because you want me to think this way. And if I don't think this way, I'm going to get my ass kicked. He saw a lot of things that happened and he was given insight. And this is frequency. I'm shown water, currency and shocks through water on my fingertips. Now, I don't know if they were reading his energy or doing something with his energy or what the hell that is, but I actually got that image. So things on his fingertips, like electrodes or whatever they're called, water, conduction water, electrical water, and like bathtub water, body shock, but I can't see his body in the bathtub. So then I ask, what happened? Didn't you eat? Like, this is how it goes in my head. I'm just asking. I'm like, what happened? Why was he so thin? Was he anxiety ridden? Because sometimes anxiety can also have that effect. Like, you don't want to eat, you don't want to do something. It can be very difficult for people, right? I'm asking why? Because I know what they're feeding me. That's what I heard. Because I know what they're feeding me. And the word that I wrote down on my paper right here, this word, you can't even see it. Okay, this word, human consumption, the word for that begins with a C. That's the word I wrote down. He stopped eating because he was aware of what the food was. He was aware. He stopped eating because he was aware of it. I started to write this down and I'm like, okay, was that in a general sense? Like, you know, they make this kind of food from that kind of meat? Or literally, were you being forced? And what I was shown is during that time frame, there were children around. There were circumstances around children there was all kinds of things focused in that direction and his purpose there. And I seriously get this. So I'm going to just say this to you. The kids that he was engaging with, he grew like he was kind. He was teaching them, and they would systematically be removed in order to harness his energy, torture him. It almost sounds like they were trying to rebuild him at that time. So he was with kids, but the kids that he was teaching, let's say you're teaching a group of 10 kids. And they tell you this is going to be your exile until you do what we say. So you're going to be residing out here in the middle of nowhere. You're not going to get your nails done, your hair done, whatever. You're going to live this life of solitude, and you're going to help these kids out. And then you're going to come back and you're going to kiss our ass and we're going to give you your job back. Along those lines. Well, he befriended these kids and he was around these kids. And then these kids started disappearing. So what we're dealing with is a man that was in the process, a young man that was in the process of a spiritual war due to the things that he had seen during that exile. Now, when I look at his chart, I tie the time frame to his undoing that happened on September 11th of 2025. And that date is so important. Americans understand what that is because our world changed after that. We know. But in 2015, this young man's life changed because of something that happened during that year. There was some sort of an agreement made on behalf of him without his knowledge, meaning the contract for work that he signed also signed him into different things. So when he became a absolute box office commander at that time, like people wanted to see this entertainer entertain, this is what set his life on a downward spiral because the energy attached to his vibration through adoration, love, appreciation of his work, and even the people who didn't like him, all of that led to the September 11th death. So now I go all around. I go everywhere with this. So the father, we go back to the father figure. So the father figure being a double agent. So we've heard of people in America being like American and Russian spies and honeypot operations and all kinds of things like that. His father was literally a double spy. And I'm going to say something else here. The lineage and history of that gene pool was connected to the vibration of taking down other first world countries. So it isn't like a China-Russia thing. That's actually not what it is. I mean, it could be that included. It could be that included. So I go there and I'm like, this is an actor. Like, what does this have to do with anything? So anyway, I go back over here energetically and try to focus on that night. So let's get to what happened on that night. I see him on the phone with a female friend, girl. Could be a girlfriend, could be just a female friend. And he's talking and he's laughing and the face is lighthearted. The face is like happy. It's lighthearted. It's not afraid. And there's a conversation given and it's like, I see something to do with we have a platform to give you. We have a platform was the word. And I don't know if that means something else or what the heck that means, but we have a platform. We have a platform. So I kind of feel like they were going to be developing some kind of technology or game system or video game or platform computer using his essence, his personality, his persona, his name, something along these lines. And that was what the conversation was going to be about, is this platform. However, he kind of knew he was, this young man was very psychic. You cannot be born a Virgo rising and not be psychic. Very, very psychic, intuitive, understanding of it. And I will tell you, the chart logs right into past lives with him where he was also under binding and bondage in the same scenario. And as I said, these people who bind and funnel celebrities into public puppets is the word I'm going to use, because if you focus on entertainment, whether it be music, acting, any kind of gardening, public gardeners, public chefs, whatever it is that your taste is, when you focus on that, you really stay distracted from the political happenings around you. But more importantly, you stay energetically uninformed to the spiritual war, which is really what we're talking about. We're talking about a fight for humanity and a fight for your soul to recognize your power. And I'm talking as an individual, not an entertainer. This young man was put in that position in order to, like happy juice. He's happy juice. He's good to look at. It's entertaining. We want to know what happens with him. We connect energetically over here. So we're not focused to the right, to the left, behind, back, forward, or even to the fact that we are creatively powerful. We continue to enslave ourselves by not seeing the reality. So he helps with that focus. Also keep in mind, when you're looking at any culture or anything in a public scope, you are looking at entertainers that are telling you how to align yourself with the culture, with your appearance, with what you ingest, with how you think, how you vote, and they're entertainers. It's fine, they can have their personal opinion, but we align with it. It's like if person A does this, then I can do this. That's why they take agendas in such a huge direction. Sexual agendas, women working agendas, women not working agendas, children, not children. China does that, their policy back in the day. And they get their people to espouse whichever direction. And it's half the people this way and half the people that way, so that there's no unity. He was involved in that, but he was involved in that not all the way along. He was driven into it because he was placed in his family to do so with his mother. I'm telling you this. I got it so strong I can't not get it. All right, the night of the dinner party. This is extremely... Okay. And I'm going to tell you why at the end, but I'm not going to tell you it now. So I'm just going to talk about... Okay, so the laundry bag issue that we go back to. First off, and I'm really... This is so egregious on a soul level that there are people that can justify this and people that can facilitate it by making that phone call. So the girl set him up. She set him up. She set him up. She set him up. The people at the dinner party, and online they say there was like 17. I'm thinking there was more. I'm definitely feeling this is connected to America. Now, bear with me with that, because in the end, I'm going to tell you, there's a connection to America with this. And I'm not sure if he was popular or here or not, because I'm not aware of it, but that doesn't mean anything. The setup at the dinner party was interesting. It started off benign, but when he walked in, he literally shows me walking in to like a spider web where you put your hands up in your face and you know how that film comes over you in those scary movies, like that. So he's well aware that he walked in to something that he should not been involved in to begin with. He knows this. He absolutely understands. He just put himself at risk. While that dinner party is on and he maintains his phone, he is communicating with people, telling them, I'm going to die. So he knows. But he's not going to die the way they want him to die in his own head. This is what he knows. This is blurry again. Okay. I have to do it like that to unblur it. And it didn't do it. So we're going to do it again. Sometimes it just does this when I'm talking. It blurs. Okay. So he is focused on texting. He's very cagey, looking to the left, looking to the right. Whoever was on the direct left of him is responsible for his death. That's the first thing. So I don't know how he was seated at this dinner party or if it was chairs and then dinner, but it's very uncomfortable for him, but he's not backing down. Okay, so he's being, okay, forgive me. but he doesn't want to eat and he doesn't want to drink because he's pretty sure they're going to try to slip the food into a kind of meat that's not agreeable to him, not agreeable to anybody and against the Bible. So he don't want to eat that. He doesn't want to drink anything, and he wasn't drunk, by the way. Drugged, more like it. And the drug that I see is a hypnotic drug. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it wasn't ketamine, because he's out of his body watching what happens to him in a hypnotic way, like a hypnotic trance. That's what happens to him. They fling him around. But I'm just going to say this. Before they fling him around, and by fling him around, I mean pass him around in a violently sexually aggressive way. And I have to say this because I wrote it down. I just have to say this. The people who sexually rape in the entertainment industry, okay, the people who do this, the people who focus on taking a young entertainer and making them feel like they can't get where they're going, which they can't because it's owned by a bunch of gang members, gangsters, mobsters. It is a gangland cult all over the world. Call it whatever you want in your language, in your country. I don't care if you're in China, India, in Europe, Bali, I don't care. Thailand, Taiwan, doesn't matter. It's all the same. You're not getting out of that gang once you're jumped in. And by jumped in, accepting the binding agreement to be an entertainer, period. But this kid, it was a setup to the mom and something in her family. And I'm going back, and I'm going to say this. The mother, so this kid's grandfather, the mother, going back way, way, way back to the mother's history and her father, possibly her grandfather, or she had an older father. Going back to that family, that man owed a debt, like a gambling debt, but some other kind of debt. And they took it out on his daughter. Okay? Yu Men Long's mother is this guy's daughter. They took the repercussions of that guy dead. He's dead. They took the repercussions of him. They took those repercussions out on her by putting the pregnancy in her. I'm not joking when I say that, or at least that's the information I picked up on a psychic level. Okay, so that's the information. So when this young woman gets pregnant and gives birth to this young man, he's born and bred into a circumstance that he himself is unaware of because they wipe our brain before we're born. You don't remember, I don't remember, some people do. Most of us don't remember our most recent past life. So he came in to this where this happened before. The retrograde planets in his chart address that. The Pluto retrograde in the second house absolutely addresses that for me because it's his value system and it's going under cathartic extreme changes in this lifetime. That's what's happening to it. All of the other retrograde planets and that one correlating in his chart, being activated by the eclipses that happened in 2025, literally conjuncting his ascendant. Close enough for me. It is a conjunction. It's a little bit of a wide conjunction because his ascendant approximately 23 degrees, the eclipse at 29. However, the circumstances leading up on either side of his degree from the beginning eclipse in March all the way to September, this is what the problem is. So when he's at this dinner table, he's starting to see his focus. He's not dead yet, but they are drugging him and they're giving him ketamine. He's not drinking it. I think okay, there's two things I'm seeing. I'm seeing injections and I'm seeing nose. So I don't know if they get him to inhale a steam. I don't know how that is. If he inhales it and they inject him, or they inject him and then they inhale it. I don't know how this works, but I'm seeing those two ways of ingesting it into the body. He is out of his body as they are starting to, it's like a truth serum. I'm hearing they want him to answer a question. Like, what do you know? What are you doing? So they're browbeating him and almost waterboarding him, but it's not waterboarding. It's kind of like that. The back of my neck is super sore. It's like, it's getting to me. Like they're doing something. He's almost chained to a chair or chained to roped. Okay, roped. So tied. The back of my neck is hard. I'm going to say this to you. When he leaves his body, when he's drugged, and by that I mean the etheric body leaves the physical. And that can happen to anybody who does drugs who's not in an extreme circumstance. They're in their couch doing drugs. They up and out of their body. This is why I personally don't like morphine in any kind of surgery, because I'm up and out of my body and I can't stand it. So it happens because it just releases you from the tether to the physical. So he is out of his body, and it looks, actually my neck's sore, so it's trying to show me now this is interesting. He's being pulled out by something on the astral level that's pulling him out into the ether, into the other dimension this way. He can see it. So let me word it like this. 2 times he's being interrogated on a soul level outside of the physical and the physical body. So the people at the party are not aware. One of them is aware. Most of them are not aware that he's out of his body and being tortured. There's a godfather. The word was godfather on the other side. I don't know if they were trying to address me to the mob or a godfather, like literal Godfather, or the movie The Godfather, the mob. But I couldn't get straight answers. I'm just like over here trying to ascertain this, and I'm thrown over here. Either way, I think he was injected, drugged, and inhaled, sniffed. Now, the people at these parties, and I'm going to call them ghouls. I'm going to call them all ghouls because they are wicked in their soul. So their soul can only elevate so far, if we want to call it elevation, and they continue on a repetitive, multiple repetitive cycle back into this dimension, okay, the earth plane. So when they get an actor like this, their goal, because they have no creative substance, that's what's been cut off for them. At some point in their soul's evolution, they made a decision to be a ghoul, to be a wicked demon. And by that, I mean break every rule of kindness to other human beings, treat others, to go after money, and to just gnaw through this world in a wicked and vile way. They chose that at some point. I don't know. Could have been 4 lifetimes ago. Could have been 400. I have no idea that. But they are forbidden from crossing up and out into a different dimension to connect to creative source again. So when they have an actor like this young actor who's been bound through several lifetimes, kind of against his will, they put him in a position to desire what you want on earth. See, the camera's going crazy again. To desire what you want on earth. So whatever it is we are taught. Like, that's why they have shows like Cribs and stuff in America, so that you can feel bad about where you live. That's why certain celebrities exist, to tell you that your fucked up body isn't good enough, or your house, or your father isn't making enough money because you don't live in a mansion, or because you're not like frying up whatever every night at the barbecue grill with the famous rappers, you don't count. Same thing in China, done differently. This kid he had a desire. The mother is blissfully unaware of whatever her father did and succession male generations prior, that she's pulled into it by being impregnated. Caught on to it later on, about age 8 with this kid, but not before that. Like this still is her son, but what I'm saying is she was unaware of who the man was that impregnated her. So when you get to that, and you get to these people recycling with no creative ability whatsoever, so even if they wanted to be a singer, an architect, a doctor, they can't muster it themselves. They have to cheat. So they have to steal the battery graveyard, like the graveyard where you take all those smushed cars and put them, body shop places where they just have pick apart, the battery graveyard. And until they trap this energy to feed it back to this energy, that's how I'm seeing it. So to plug that battery in, because they cannot regenerate themselves. You and I can. He could. So they trapped him in. Now, it was said online that he swallowed some kind of like microchip or chip with secrets on it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. Weirdly, I go to that and I'm like, what the actual hell is going on? I'm sure he did, and it pertained to himself, but let's even extend this because I get the whole picture at this point. Before I say that, let's go back to it. These battery stealing, swapping people in entertainment that call themselves directors, that were at the dinner party, that call themselves actresses and friends, political figures. They hide out financial people, suits. In America, we call them suits, you know, the money handlers, the accountants, the whatever, the evil behind the scenes, okay, because they cannot and have no way with which to elevate themselves creatively. That's why they steal what you have. So they stole what he had, and he was aware of it. They used his name, likeness, and image in financial backings and deals, and I think that that's also been reported on the internet, and they used it in shell companies and all of that stuff. Now, if you're a billionaire, millionaire, or even a husband that wants to hide your money from a wife, you open up a dummy corporation and hide it in a shell company, a company that is 6 companies removed from the initial company, and you put it into that corporation and you run it there. It's harder to find, in theory. I mean, if you know what they do that, if you're somebody who does that, then you know how to find them, right? With your private investigator or whatever. He was tipped off by somebody who told him what was happening. And this is somebody that he considered to be a good family friend or a father figure, spoke to him about what he found out, sent him either links, files, tape measures, whatever. Now, there was also, okay, and the camera just shut off there as I'm starting to say this. He was tipped off by a male father figure who sent him links, tapes, or documents about what his name, likeness, and image was being used for. So it was a complete abomination against himself. Now, it was tied in many different dummy or shell companies and corporations, and they were extracting, extorting, and taking money from all kinds of different revenue operations that were completely deceptive and unaware to him. Now, at the same time that this is going on, they are starting to harass the shit out of him because they need him to sign something. They need him to go forward with something. And this is where I'm completely actually shocked, blown away, do not understand what I'm feeling, but I'm going to say it anyway. So hopefully this makes sense. As they're forcing him to sign and say something. Now, keep in mind that last eclipse, September 21st of this year, just about a month before that, it's starting to get more intense where they're violating his rights, making him, forcing him, trying to deprive him of sleep, like waterboarding or interrogating or hostage holding, or like people in concentration camps, like keeping them up all night, fucking with their head, popping up out of nowhere, gang stalking, all of these things that you've heard in different references, but just pertain it culturally to that country. Now, they are starting to rip down his sense of self. When I ask why these directors, especially directors, okay, or these money funders, why the hell they have to sodomize and rape people, predominantly men. This is where women, in our society, they have inverted and twisted everything. Yes, women have this happen, but in the industry, they're really after men. Sodomy ritual, the power of the male energy, okay, the power of the male energy and the way that it's expressed, because male energy is a little bit different than female. No matter what they want to say, a female has a different strand of expression with her energy than a man does with his. So they go after the power, the physical power of the male energy. And they attach to the pineal gland, the crown chakra, and the chakras above frequency-wise in order to control, contain, harness that energy. It's almost like these entertainers, and him in particular, are marionettes. They're being controlled energetically. So they are sodomized, sodomy ritual. Not necessarily always gay ritual, but sodomy ritual. And that includes people that actually are gay in the industry. But that's why it seems like it's always so gay, because they are going after the chakra system that goes up energetically through the spinal column, through the back part. They figured out how to do that. Now, with this particular young actor at this dinner party, was not the first time that this has happened to him, sexually abusing, speaking wise. It has happened to him before. And honestly, in truth, it probably started 2020 and onward. So right in that time frame, because they are needing him to agree to something on paper. I don't know why he has to, since they've been ripping him off behind his back for years. I don't know why exactly, but I do, and I'm going to tell you, but I still got to get this out of my head. So at the dinner party, what they're doing to him before he loses his life is they are executing the most low vibrational fear tactics of absolute utter despair and torture of somebody while they are watching people in front of them. And in this case, they did murder his pets. So when they are watching his pets be tortured by these people, he has no control. So that breaks down your psyche when it's like putting someone you love and watching execution, them getting executed. This is destroying him. But it's not only that. They are showing him video of him in an altered state, meaning when he's been drugged before, because this has happened before. And I think it started happening when I don't know what year that he went to supposedly teach kids in the rural area, but it happened then. They started filming him in compromising positions while he was drugged. And the compromising positions were around the fact that he was teaching children in rural areas at that time. It's very hard to stomach this, but they're actually using children. Do you know why they use children? Do you know why? There's several reasons. Children's energy has just come through. They want to tell you that everybody has sinned when they come through. Children's energy is usually pure. When they can attach to it by destroying it and humiliating it, then they can do things against God. And because it's just vile, and they can do that. If you kill somebody who's an adult, that's bad enough. But let's say you kill somebody like they do in jail, like the death penalty. You're killing somebody who's done crimes against a whole bunch of other people, and it's completely understandable why you're killing them, because they've hurt other people and in extreme ways. When you look at a child, a 2-3-year-old, 6-month-old, what have they done? So he was involved in blackmail material, which was filmed around that against his knowledge. And they were using this to keep him in line. He was basically having like what they call a psychotic break or a complete breakdown, completely at the end of his rope. Now, okay, why? Why bother? Because they want to take his energy. They want to have it. They want it to be that way. But more importantly, there's another agenda. So here we go. He was raped and brutalized at the party. That was something that happened. There were 6 people that cheered him on. The other people are there. Why you would accept that and not walk away from it, I don't know. I mean, they're afraid of being killed, obviously. But 6 people participated. So there was like in America, I think you call it a train run up on him. They hurt him physically in that area and otherwise. They filmed it from very gratuitous points. They filmed everything from a very gratuitous standpoint. He has not seen this. He saw it because he was out of body and reacting physically. So the way that I'm seeing it is until he actually died, and I haven't quite seen something like this, but here's his physical body and here's his etheric spirit body, which goes to God. So as the drugs are taking a hold, there's a space. So these two are not tightly knit. When we come onto earth, the reason that you don't want to engage becoming a massive drug addict or alcoholic or sex addict, because it rips your etheric body away from the physical body and leaves interpretation in the middle for anything to hook its little hooks into. So his body, at the point that he's about to pass away, his body is like this. So he's not fully able to view what's happening, and his physical isn't fully able to understand what's happening. So he's in a state of confusion, which they fucking like, because they can trick you on your way out into coming back. But what they show me is on the other side, and the image I got is he's being cocooned. So his energy was immediately taken across and cocooned, and he was brought back in a state like it's an Easter egg hunt, in a state like he's the cocoon looks like an egg to me, and on the ground it lies, but it's beautiful ground around him. It's very artistic, and the egg is the color of an egg, and the people are walking. These are people on the other side. I don't know who they are. They're all walking, and they're waiting for him to come out of this egg or shell or cocoon. It's not see-through though. It's more like an egg texture, like you can't see through. And they're waiting for him. I think it's an energetic expression. It's so weird. It's so weird because it's all over. It's all over. So he himself is unaware fully of what happened to him. So don't ever think for a minute when somebody is, I've got cold going up from my feet all the way up. Oh, okay. So don't think for a minute when someone dies being tortured that they're fully aware of the torture while it's happening. This is the mistake that these ghouls make when they're doing it. They are looking at the body writhing in pain and enjoying like rabid dogs. So let's just word that back a bit. So I got the image of rabid dogs. So these dogs, they get a taste of meat, and then they go looking for people in a big gaggle of dogs for people that they can abuse and brutalize and eat, basically. So these people at the party are no different. They are the same. They are the fucking same. There was a video. Everything that happened has been put out onto the internet as per usual. Okay, this is not unique to any circumstance. This is not unique to anything. This is just what the hell happens. They are people that buy it. Now, here's where it gets just absolutely crazy in such a way. Here's what I'm going to say. What they wanted him to do. So you're asking, what paperwork would he have to sign? They're already stealing his money. They've stolen his name, likeness, and image. They're already sexually abusing him. They're fucking lying to him on every level. He can't have peace. He's in a full state, blown panic attack all the time. He knows his time is up. What the hell did they want from him, right? Okay. Honest to God, I got this. So here it goes. In this life, his family and his father's DNA structure, his father, biological, that family is instrumental in the takedown of other countries. So when a country is targeted, taken over, and I can only think of and I immediately went to Middle Eastern countries. But here's the twist on it. They wanted him to give his signature in order to take his energy, in order to orchestrate and put on his family lineage a curse, a hex, an energetic stamp, okay, that would just bind everybody throughout time, to start a war 2028 to 2030, to start a war that involves China. And they wanted him to go out there and be a double speaker like his father, a double enemy, a double agent, enemy of one, enemy of the other, walking down the middle. So to do that with a Middle Eastern country, and get this, September 11th, the takedown of the American society. That's what's behind this. It's actually orchestrating in and opening the door to war. It's not just sick, perverted, sexual, deviant, demonic energies wanting to take a young boy, sodomize him until he's unconscious and has to be stitched up. It's not just that. This is different. to take his energy is to energetically change the course of freedom and usher in war. It's connected in the same frequency. That's the paperwork they wanted him to sign. That's the paperwork. I was like, what? This is so entirely different than your usual celebrity entertainer that's here to like sway your children and do that. This is the battle cry for war. There is already a spiritual war and spiritual warfare. That's what we're talking about. But it's to take down our society while being a double agent as a public actor. I'm going to walk into this country and I'm going to ingratiate myself. So I don't know this to be true, but can someone tell me if this young actor had ties to American society and was coming to America to do something? Because it's about the takedown of the American system. That's why the death is marked at 9/11, basically. So we know what that is energetically. It's also a ritual, and it's also a ritual for the timing wise and the death, because that is supposed to be the real birthday of Jesus. So it's also energetically that in mockery, okay, which 9/11 was as well. So it's that in mockery, and it's connected to a Middle Eastern country that literally is engaged, and I don't know which one it is. I'm not even trying to look. I'm actually spooked by this. There's so much more behind this than you even know, but it's the way that he died brutalized, and these people should all be held accountable, but we know they won't be on earth. They won't be unless his people in his culture and country stand up for him. But I don't know if that's possible, because then they start threatening your family. They start killing your children. They start killing your parents. They start killing your neighbors. They kill your animals. They start gang stalking you. This is what happens. This is why the energy. So I'm going to say start praying for him to get his strength, because right now he's being healed energetically, and it is the shape of an egg to me. It reminds me of an Easter egg hunt, but it's a big egg. It is not see-through. So it's a cocoon energetically on a frequency level. And I think he did the right thing in this life, because I believe after he comes out of that period, and I don't even know when that will be, but when he comes out of that period, I believe that he will no longer be in that cycle. So they have lost, but the war starts here. So we are having this happen. His death is the flag that starts it like that. That's what his death is. That's a weird ass thing to say. That's a weird thing to say. And it was both ritualistic, but I don't think he was supposed to die. That's the thing. They were going to torture him. They were going to abuse him. They were going to fuck with his head so that he could never enjoy his life, never have peace, and never spend his money the way that he wanted to. Absolutely. But they were not supposed to kill him. That's what I do get. This was something they weren't supposed to do. Their behavior rose up and took them over. And it's shocking, but systematically what I'm seeing, okay, so systematically anybody who was at the dinner party, and I feel it's more than 17, or maybe the dinner party itself was live streamed through a camera series to other people. Could be that. It could be 17 there and the others over there, wherever they are. I actually get that in the actual dinner room, there was 13. Weird number, but 13 including him. They tell you they don't like that number 13 because it equals a 4, but do they tell you why they don't like that number in Chinese culture? Because it's a number of power. That's never been said. I've never heard that, but I just got that right now when I'm asking why would there be 13 people at the dinner table. Also, the time frame is different of when he passed. They did move the body in a different direction. They were looking for the tape that they said he swallowed, the disc, the whatever, the little thing, the microchip that he swallowed, spy, espionage, all of that shit. They were looking for it, but here's the thing. This is hilarious. Mark my words on this. They may have taken it out of his body, but it's not the right disc. It's not the right tape. It's not the right one. That has been given to somebody else. Now, whether they are going to do right by it or not, and it's not anybody that he hangs around with or knows. Look, it's going. It's going to haywire again. I just leave this in at this point. It's not anybody that he knows or has a way of people tracking down. This is a completely third-party, innocent, quiet person, older man, dressed all in brown. I see him just all as brown. So he may be somebody who is just very modest in living. He has it. He's intelligent, modest in living, and I'm hearing the words, he was like a guardian angel to me. So this is somebody that he spoke to off the grid, away from, different when he could. They have the actual information. That's funny. That's a good chess game right there. That's funny because what they did to him, they did. And he's also kind of acknowledging that, okay, I get it. The reason that his body was moved, number one, it was moved. So where they say the accident happened, it didn't. The time is different. I believe it to be between 2:30 and 3:30. There's a whole cover up. We're looking for pieces of him. So there were souvenirs taken. This might have to do with parts of the body or whatever, souvenirs. And what that does is, okay, so when the body is, you've heard in some religions, they want the body returned, and they don't like cremation because they want the body to remain in its state, like however the person was born. When the body is removed at times, like that, and taken, it takes the energetic thread with it. So that's why he's cocooning, to bring all his power back into his etheric spirit body, and it has to be neutralized at this point. That's what's going on. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is like just been, wow. So this video and this experience runs the gamut of everything, and here's what I see happening, at least with the people that partook in it. I do get Americans that are aware of what happened, because there are Americans working here in America in our political sphere that are in cahoots with the people that were threatening him, that are connected also to a different segment, the Middle East, in the world. So it's a whole scope of shit going on. But the people that were at the dinner party, systematically, they are going to be removed because they've drawn too much attention to what happened, to what was going on. And they're going forward with their plan, and they will use you. They will use you in order to get what they want. So these people that partake in this and now have a taste for it, like the wild pack of dogs, they, on an energetically, are going to be shut down one by one by one. I see it like one by one by one, all down, all down. So something to each and every single one of them is going to shift and change in their life by 2027, with either the death of a loved one or their work circumstance or what's expected of them or how they pass away. Because what was done to him is opening the option for war worldwide. That sounds super weird because he's an actor and I don't know what one has to do with the other, but it opened that doorway, and that doorway portal was not supposed to be opened. So because that happened here, this now becomes different over here. This becomes different. They're laughing now or they're enjoying now, but it then becomes different. It becomes different. Okay, so that is my very odd video on the young actor from China, Yu Ming Long, or Alan Yu. And once again, my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com.